It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey, today I'm going to be showing you a little card game with a lot going on. Xanadu. Xanadu is a game in which you are going to be building cards and using workers, also cards, flipped over, to get you the resources you need to build effectively. It's kind of a heady game. Let me show you how it works. The objective of the game in Xanadu is to have the most money at the end of the game, which is right here. And you're going to be making that money by playing new cards out in front of you and then selling those cards for a profit. Let me show you a card up close here. Basically, each card has a cost up here. It has what it might give you permanently if you build it in front of you, which is a resource, and there's many resources. And then it has down here some spaces where you can send workers, or in fact anybody could send workers. It has a cost for which you could sell the card, and has some permanent resources for you if that level is covered, okay? And so here are the resources of the game, and you're going to be using those to build more cards. So a simple turn goes like this. On my turn, I have that card out in front of me. I have a hand of cards, and so let's say I'm going to try to build, let's say, this is always a tricky part of the game because it takes some thinking and looking about. Let's say I want to build this card. This card is going to cost me these two resources, which, as the card here tells us, is porcelain and clay. Porcelain and clay. Alright, so I need to make porcelain and I need to make clay this round to play. I already have porcelain right there because this card is mine and I always make porcelain. Great. Now I need to make clay. And the way I do that is by sending workers to other people's cards or even my own. Okay, so let's say I'm going to send workers to this card here. Let's take a closer look at that. So, here's how I do this. I'm going to take one of my cards that I'm not building, and I'm going to use it as a worker to put on that space and cover this up. And that would make me this. Alright, and what I typically do is I just put it off to the side like this, and at the end of my turn I just cover them up. So, I don't need that. And I don't need the next one either. What I need is that clay. So now that I've played 3 cards, covered up three levels there, I now make clay. And with my porcelain, then I can play this card out in front of me. Every round, you can only build 1 card, okay? So, I've done that to this player's card. I've covered up those 3 levels. And now I have built another card, again, 1 per turn. I now draw 1 card, typically, and if you've sold something for that round, you can draw 3 cards. The other option I have on my turn is do nothing at all on my turn and replenish my hand up to 7. And so, that's the idea. Let's say it comes back around to this player and they want to sell that card. Well, they can do so and they can sell it for the 1 coin at which it now sits. And so, these 3 cards cover up these 3 levels. The card can be sold for 1. They're allowed to do that. They take 1 coin. These come in 1s, 3s, and 5s. And then they will take their turn. At the end of that turn, they will draw 3 because they sold something that round. We continue playing like this until the deck typically has run out once, and then we run it out again, shuffling in an end game card into the bottom 10 cards of this deck. Once that's done, everybody sells anything they might still have in front of them, and whoever has the most money is the winner. This game seems like a very unassuming little card game from the box, but there's actually a little bit of a mind game going on in this one. I remember the first time I played it, my mind just locked up, and I just had a lot of analysis paralysis. I couldn't figure out how to tackle this because there's so many symbols out there. There's so many places I could play workers and get resources to then build my card. And if I have a card that takes 3 specific things, wait, which ones do I have already? So it's like, it makes my head, hurt a little bit. But the more I've played, the more I've realized that goes away when you really focus on the card you want to build first instead of what's out there and what could I build. If you focus, okay, I want to build this. then you can look and sort of figure it out a little faster, take quicker turns. But the game definitely has an interesting feel to it. I could say this is a pretty unique game. I know it doesn't make sense, pretty unique, but you know, it's a neat concept, a neat design. What I'm not sure of is if it's fun. I can appreciate the way the game's put together, but I don't have a lot of fun figuring out the puzzle. Now, I like puzzle games. I'm a big fan of puzzle games. This puzzle, though, is simply, if I take longer, I will do better. And so if I sit there for 5 minutes figuring out exactly what I should do, I will do better than if I sit there for 2 minutes. And I'm not quite a big fan of that. Maybe you are, and if the game looks interesting to you, then I say, you know, check it out. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing feels broken, nothing feels weird. It's a solid design. I'm just not sure I find it fun. Now, the construction of this version, the actual production here, is a little weird. The tokens are very flimsy. They're not very good quality, and the cards are a real strange printing. They have just a bizarre finish. But the game, while not wonderfully produced, is an interesting design. And so if you are looking for a really quirky card game that has a bit of a bite to it, then I recommend you check this one out. I myself found it merely okay, but I might be in the minority here. So check this one out, folks, if you like the sort of thing, Xanadu.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.